Welcome Livingston. I am Abhishek Gangwal. Thank you for joining us on Livingston Education online series program. Today we have our team RoboCrafter. We love to celebrate our students. They are presenting their innovative robotics model to generate hydroelectric power. I take pleasure to introduce Coach Bhavin, Coach Bankim. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, Mike, for inviting us to this program. It's our pleasure to come to this program and share the experiences that we've had with the broader community. I am Coach Bhavin, and I have been coaching Team RoboCrafters since its founding years. It's last 2 years we have been doing this along with my fellow coach Bankim. We started this as a small summer activity at our houses when kids during the pandemic, kids didn't have much to do, and we had to find some constructive ways for kids to explore their STEM creativity, and so we just started as a play date, believe it or not, where the like-minded kids came together, did something with the robots, and looking at the interest that we saw the kids were having, this just got bigger and bigger, and we then decided to participate in through the Livingston robotics club, and then participate in the first Lego events, which is what we will be talking about a lot during the broadcast today. So it is our pleasure to have for inviting us, and we are happy to share our experiences with the community. The team will talk a lot about how they've gone about the program, and even afterwards, if anybody has any questions, we will be more than happy to share help, and especially the founding teams will be more than happy to share our experiences and get you going with robotics.
Thanks, Coach Bhavin. I'm Coach Bankim Bhalaria. I've also been with the team RoboCrafters for the past 2 years. We are here to, inspire other kids, younger or older, to the world of robotics. Not only to the world of robotics, but also to the world of science. To how can we make difference to this environment, to our planet Earth. Team RoboCrafters this year qualified for the state championship. They were the top 10 teams in the state of New Jersey. So, we are here in Livingston. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. More the kids from Livingston, our town grows in the field of science. And now, I would like each of the team RoboCrafters, we have 7 team members, the proud RoboCrafters, and we would like themselves to introduce themselves. We will start with Arav.
Hi, my name is Arav Nayak, and I'm a researcher and programmer. And my favorite part about robotics was visiting the PSEG nuclear power plant. Hi, my name is Neri, and I'm the robot designer.
Hi, my name is Adit Tembe, and I'm the project manager. My favorite part about robotics was playing basketball after each session.
Hi, my name is Nishan Rodacharya. I'm the researcher and programmer.
Hi, my name is Bhalaria, and I'm the innovation coordinator and researcher.
Hi, my name is Arnav. I am the robot designer and the coder.
Hi, my name is Krishma Mathai. I'm the researcher and project manager.
Thank you team RoboCrafters. Thank you coaches. So we'll learn through these sessions their experiences, their challenges, how did they come up with the design. So we'll open, and then anyone who has questions, please encourage kids by asking the questions. Kids will be very happy to answer all the answers toward the end of the program. So very first questions to our program designer Adit. Would you like to share what is the theme of this year and what was your project?
So our theme for this year was superpowered. Our mission was to build a robot that performed certain missions and to build an innovative model. The innovative model was to be seen by judges in the competition who are experts in the field, and they were seen, reviewed, and scored. Our innovative model is R3H2O. R3H2O stands for regenerate with renewable resource water. R3H2O simulates a water turbine that is powering a house. For our robot, we built a robot from scratch and it performed a lot of missions. In the competition, for each mission you completed correctly, you got a certain number of points, and they were based on how difficult the mission was. To conclude, we had to build a robot and an innovation model from scratch.
That's great.
To add on, our goal was to solve 13 missions fully and 2 missions partially in 2.5 minutes.
Oh, wow. So, was it a good experience? Would you like to share some of your experiences? How did you design your software or your robot?
Yeah. So to figure out each mission, we made a chart and rated them from easiest to hardest. And the ones we did the ones that gave us a lot of points. And we scored about like 250 points in our qualifiers.
Oh, that's nice. 250.
Yeah.
That's a big number. Would you like to share, was the robot designed previously, or you guys come up with the robot design?
So we had to come up with our own robot design in our own innovative ways, and we had to make it to meet our specific needs for the mission. And we couldn't make the robot too tall or too short, so those were the limitations. And it took about 2 weeks to make the first design of the robot, and then eventually when we tested it, we had to make more improvements to our robot. And when we went on to states, we saw our mistakes in the qualifiers, and we improved it due to that.
Adding on to what Arav said, the robot we had to change again after the states because in order to be able to get a lot of the missions that we had to solve, we changed the robot more, and it definitely worked for our robot.
Oh, that's nice.
So before we go, deeper into the robots as the kids are explaining, you can already see the passion in them. And just take a minute to explain what this program is. When we did the smaller projects with the Lego Education Spike Prime kit, which is what we use for robotics, we quickly ran out of options what to do further, right? That's when we through Livingston Robotics Club we got introduced to this first Lego League program, which is very helpful for anybody who is interested. First Lego League is actually a worldwide program where almost 110 countries participate in the robotics competitions, and their whole theme is to encourage STEM amongst STEM culture and behavior amongst kids. And every year, as Bankim was explaining before, they come up with a structure on what is the theme of the program that year, and the kids have to participate in that competition to do solve the robot missions, come up with innovation project design, and Bankim can talk a bit more about that. So that's what the kids are explaining. So it's a regional competition, and it's because it's a worldwide competition, there are various levels. It starts with regional qualifiers, then kids get promoted to state championship, and then there's a world championship. So this year the team has qualified for the state championship, and now they're going to participate in May at an interstate level. So along with teams from 15 other states.
Thank you, Coach Bhavin. Thank you for logical break, and congratulations for your efforts and your success. Congratulations, team RoboCrafters. Would like to know, Bhavin, from Coach Bankim, would you like to share FLL is there? Coach Bhavin was explaining what was the structure, how it was working to our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So the FLL program is divided into 4 parts. The first part is robot design, right? How do you design your robot? So Lego basically sells a Lego kit, Prime kit, right? Spike Prime kit, which you can use to make the robot. So which you can buy it from Amazon, you can buy it from the Lego websites. Right? It comes in a nice yellow box like Coach Bhavin is showing here. That's the foundation of how you build your robots, right? Once your robot is built, every year the FLL program comes up with the theme. So they would have a 4x8 robotics table, which is available at Livingston Robotics Center, or you can, build your own. They usually have a paper mat with Lego pieces built on it, and which we have to build on it, and you have to perform these missions. You get a score for the number of missions you solve, right? So that's one part of it. The second part of it is the innovation model. So around the theme which they have every year, right? You basically have to come up with an innovative idea. How would you solve a particular world problem, right? The third part is teamwork. As I mentioned before, how did the team gel with each other? How did the team talk to other teams? How did they navigate, the whole program? How did they overcome challenges, right? And the fourth part is, again, core values, right? Where you're respectful to the other teams, where you're respectful to the coaches, where you're respectful among each other, right? That becomes, so those four things become the part of the FLL program. So it's an all-round program. It builds, as you can see, they have learned how to speak to audiences. They have learned how to speak to people at SpaceX, people at Google, people at PSEG. They have visited nuclear power plants. So the exposure is just not building robots, but the exposure, it's an all-round personnel development. And very proud to say, each one of them have taken something, from them in a very positive manner.
That's great. That's great. And core values, learning, playing with each other, gelling with each other is so important in our community. Now coming to Robo, as you see here, we have a Robo that team is going to display. But before getting into that, would like to know from our team RoboCrafters, if someone can share, what was the programming language it has been used to design the Robo?
We use simple scratch blocks. So Lego Education, they have their own scratch language, which has like move motors and stuff. So, and we made functions because we used the gyro sensor to move. Some of the sensors that we used were the gyro sensor, the color sensor, and the sensors that are used in the motor.
To add on, our code, our functions were basically a bunch of spike prime blocks combined to create our robot movements for them to be more precise.
To add on, a function we used was the init function, so we could reset the code every time we go into a new sequence, and we also had many other functions to make the code easier.
Oh, that's so nice. So nice, because you are using reusability. That is one of the theme. So good. So I heard from Anna, you are saying about Scratch programming. I know as a developer, there is a Java programming, there is a Python programming.
Yeah.
What is this Scratch programming?
So Scratch is basically the code is already pre-typed for you in a sidebar. That's all the blocks, and it was developed by MIT for children to learn how to code at an early age.
Oh, so nice. So it's designed by MIT?
Yeah, students at MIT.
So you all did the programming in Scratch programming?
Not in Scratch. In the Lego Spike Prime app, which uses the Scratch language.
You wanted to say, Karishma, something?
Oh no, I was just gonna add on that. Whatever Arnav just said, I was just about to add on.
You were chiming something.
It was the same thing.
Okay, good. So I was hearing you designed some robot, right? You did programming in Scratch, right? And you are using some parts, right? You are saying some sensors. Would you like to share some? What are those parts? What is the sensors to our audience?
Yeah, let Anili explain that. So Anili, you want to explain the robot parts? What you do? You can probably walk up there.
Okay. So this is a movable trapper. It's used to collect energy units. This is a fixed collector. It's used to collect and move energy units. This is a sidearm. It's used to lift a lever in the oil tank mission. This is a dinosaur holder. It's used to hold and move the dinosaur to the opposite home area. And this is an energy unit holder. It's used to hold, move, and drop energy units.
Oh, so nice. So nice. Thank you, Aneri.
I will be explaining the sensors. So since the mission models were in a straight line, we used a gyro sensor that was built in. So we used a gyro sensor that was built in the hub that would turn left and right. And we decided we could have used other sensors, but we decided to use this sensor because we thought this was the best sensor since it was able to self-correct. We had a lot of precise measurements, so we used the wheels and the motor to calculate distance by multiplying the total number of rotations by the circumference of the wheel. This was the most precise way. We used two color sensors at the bottom, and we used these to detect and stop at the horizontal black lines in front of the mission models. And we used two motors at the front and back to move the arms by changing the angle of rotation.
Oh, it seems very complicated.
Adding on, in our program, we set one rotation to which is 360 degrees to 27.6 centimeters, which is the circumference of the wheel.
Yeah.
And again, we used in total we used 7 sensors. And again, we could have used other sensors like the pressure sensor, but it was dependent on our strategy.
Oh, how many parts? It seems quite complicated machine. How many parts did you use to build such a nice model?
We used like more than 100 parts to build this.
Amazing. I mean, and what type of different sensors you are saying? Seems to me sensors are a very important part of the robot programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are different types of sensor did you use?
We used the gyroscope, and we used.
So, Dino, why don't you explain what the gyroscope is?
The gyroscope is a sensor that has 3 types of, like, I guess you can call them modes. It has the yaw, which is side to side, pitch, which is up and down, and roll, which is, a roll.
Yeah, and would like to add, we had divided functions. So, whenever you're planning something, right, you have a bunch of things to do in a short amount of time. So each one of them had roles, right? So Aneri, along with Dino and Arnav, were our robot designers, right? So Aneri, why don't you come over, right? You want to explain a few more things about the robot, right?
Sure.
And some of the cool features which you built with the robot.
Yeah, so during the missions, we had some challenges, like we weren't able to hold the energy units and bring them back to the home bases. So we used, again, like a fixed collector to collect them when, like, the windmill mission, it would fall into there, which would collect them to bring them back to the home base. And the movable trapper, it would be used to, like, move it, because, like, sometimes when we would put it down, the energy units would fall out. So we added these, which helped hold the energy units.
Yeah, and one thing to, yeah, no, you go ahead.
Adding on, using gears, we also added a sidearm over here so that we could do multiple missions and just at one location. So when this goes up and down, so does the sidearm.
I see there are 2 wheels here. So are you turning the robo also in your model, or it's just moving? Would you like to share something like the purpose of this wheel, the complexities that you guys have designed?
The gyroscope, using the yaw measurement, we were able to know like what we made it. We told the robot to turn at a specific yaw, and the one wheel would move forward and one wheel would move back to turn to that specific yaw angle.
Oh, this seems interesting. So you designed a machine where one wheel is moving forward and one wheel is moving backward.
Yes.
And so for turning?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Anybody knows how does a car turn?
Yeah.
What gear mechanism is used?
Isn't it like a rack and pinion?
It's a differential gear mechanism, but it's a very complex mechanism which is difficult to fit in this. So this is the alternative, and most teams who participate, they use this strategy for turning. It's because there are the wheels are powered by individual motors. You can have one wheel go forward and one wheel go backward, and to get the robot to move.
So one thing to add, right? So if you see the model, it looks very refined, right? So but when we started last year, right, we built a very simple robot. It had very few pieces, right? So kids who are starting afresh, no need to be overwhelmed by what you see here, right? You can build smaller models, does the same thing, right? And it's perfectly fine. And as you grow in the program over the years, right, you would be able to come up with more complex models like this.
And one thing to add about the turning, most robots would just like stop and just move one wheel, but the special thing about this robot is that it moves both wheels, so like one backward and one forward, as he was saying.
So nice.
And
Also, the complexity of the robot, it was never this complex, but every week or every time we met, we added something new for the necessities we needed for the robot. Like a couple days before the competition, we added like a new arm because it wasn't working.
Also, adding on, we have no modular attachments, which means we don't need to add anything to our robot or remove anything in between sequences.
And this benefits us so much that since we don't need to waste any time pulling out any parts.
Can somebody explain how much is the time you get for the robot to solve the missions? Karishma, why don't you explain?
We get 2.5. We get 2.5 minutes to solve the missions. So we divide it. So while we were doing the missions, we came up with a strategy to divide it into 3 parts. So we would switch with people too. So since we had 3 runs, we divided it into 3 parts per run. So 2 people would stand on this end to solve half the missions, and 2 people stand on the other end of the table to solve the other missions. And that's how we did it.
So to add on about modular attachments, so during the sequences we would have parts on the side off of the map, and we would add them so it would help us in the next sequence while it's going over to the next.
Like she was saying, the ends, we basically have 2 home bases where we can touch the robot and add the pieces. This section is on the side of each end of the mat, and this is the only place where you're allowed to add, touch, or remove any parts from your robot.
So now I know it might be difficult to visualize, right? But we can share videos about our robot runs, other teams' robot runs to get a feel of it. But the excitement, when you're competing with 300 teams, right? There were so many teams in one location. It's almost like a sports event. There are stands. There are 500 people watching you. There are 8 teams. And then they make it a really exciting environment, right? So apart from the preparations and all of that, at the end of it, it was extremely satisfying as a coach, and the kids had a blast, of course.
And it is so encouraging to see the creativity. It is it is a sport, and it is truly a sport, a game atmosphere. But you get you yourself get super energized by looking at the creativity floating around, looking at how other teams have approached it, and just being present at that event is such a big learning experience, not just for the kids but even for us as coaches. So so one piece of advice that I'd like to share, since we're talking about the robot design for teams who are kind of new to this event, it's essentially important, as all the kids were explaining, right? It's important to looking at all the missions that you have to solve. You don't need to solve all the missions. You get 2.5 minutes, and very few teams, in fact, very few select teams are able to solve all the missions in 2.5 minutes. So it's important to prioritize, and that's what we coach the kids, and to prioritize which missions you want to solve. And prioritization itself, there is some planning that the kids go through to figure out the robot path, because you want to minimize the movements, minimize the turns, and minimize and optimize the time that you have to solve the missions. That's one part. Yeah.
And to add on, if you're a new team, you don't need to make a really complex robot design at the start. You can just start off with a simple one, and then make the code. And due to the code, you can see what you need to add, like arms or choppers.
basically just like over time just basically optimize the robot code.
And it's
Yeah, basically you want to minimize the so once the way it is done, once the robot is off and it's solving the missions, you can't touch the robot until it comes back. And when it comes back, you can change the attachments, you can make some movements, but you want to minimize that time. I think that's what the kids are saying.
and it's,
So-
You are saying something.
it's better to complete the missions perfectly than it working half the time. So even if you complete 2 or 3 missions and they work 100% of the time, it's better than completing like 10 missions and they don't work 50% of the time.
500 seems very large number to me. Were you guys nervous seeing so many people?
Yeah.
So Aneri, why don't you explain, how you felt going in a stadium-like environment at the state championship?
Well, we were quite nervous. Well, I was quite nervous because there were a lot of people watching us and there would be a lot of cheering and we wouldn't know what was coming next. So if our robot was running, we wouldn't know if this mission would work or not, or if we would make it to the next level.
Adit, you want to add something?
Mount Olive, as you know, the high school is on a mountain, obviously. So there's like this really big road. As we went up on it, we actually saw the parking lot. It was packed. It was so full. And then what happened is when we went inside, we had like pits. They're basically like our home table. There were like hundreds of them. And that's how many teams there were. Like I remember like a number being like 200 something. Like those were how many teams they were.
And it was also like it was a different environment because last year we did it on Zoom and it was quiet, and also with our practices it was just us, so it was a quiet environment. But in our actual runs in the competitions, it was like there were a bunch of people who were like screaming and there was music being played. So we really needed to focus on the run itself.
There were so many teams that there was a lot of tension because there were a lot of very, very strong teams. So I've been doing this for like the past 4 years, and we knew we were great, but to go against the teams who were that strong, we were kind of like nervous but excited at the same time because we had our like own cheer that we all came up with, and we just kept us going, and we had like this music that we had, and we just really had a lot of fun.
Were you guys started dancing, seeing that crazy music?
We were doing the
Should I reveal the secret?
So basically,
1 minute.
yeah, Dino.
I was also feeling like really pressurized of like how in the competition when the robot run started, because of how we were going against other people and everyone was like cheering and everything, and as Karishma said, music playing in the background and everything.
I'd like to add one more thing. We saw a lot of our friends, a lot of people from Livingston also participating. So that was also comforting for us too.
So just to add to the statistics, right? Yeah, we go.
The atmosphere of like the stadium, there was loud music and there's so many other teams. Just the experience of going there and participating is just all of it.
Nice.
So yeah, just to add to the statistic what Arav just said, there were 17 Livingston teams, right? So amongst 300 teams across New Jersey, that's a pretty good percentage for a town, right? Imagine how many towns we have in New Jersey. So the goal of setting this is not to talk about how this team did well, right? The goal is to encourage other teams from Livingston to do well, right? So I hope that is coming across, right? And myself, Bhavin, Abhishek, and Mike, right? We are all here, to kind of assist in that effort.
Thank you. I'm really excited, and please encourage by raising all your questions, your curiosity to kids so that they can share more and more their experiences. Somewhere I was hearing that Robo was designed for 2.5 minutes. That looks very low number to me. But I know a lot of effort. So would you like to share how much time you take to design the Robo? How did you start? How many runs you did it? Sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. Would you like to share your experiences?
So basically how we started was, like we said before, we had to figure out how we would solve the missions. Based on that, we would make the robot. So the first time we made the robot, we succeeded in a few easy ones, but to do the harder ones, we kind of had to fix the robot a little bit. So we changed some things. And yeah, then we divided it into doing the easy missions and then the hard ones. And then as we got closer to the competition, we made a tally chart for each mission and to see how many times we failed or how many times we passed the mission. And based on that, we'd make a few changes in order to succeed most of the missions that we could.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm good.
I forgot.
It's okay, you can go.
A mission plan, which is crucial because we didn't know which missions we wanted to do. So if we chose our missions wisely, and we would base our whole robot and code off that. And even though choosing which missions you want to do out of 15, doesn't sound like such a crucial plan. It is, because the rest of your experience and the rest of your code and your robot is based off this.
Yeah. So why don't we do this, right? Sorry, in the interest of time. Right? Yeah, I don't. We can add this point. You could go ahead and then
It took us a few weeks to actually build our robot, and we did like a lot of tests. We did a lot of tests, and we had a lot of failures. But those failures taught us something that we did something incorrect, and we improved from
sure,
that.
let's do the last point, and then we'll switch to innovation model.
He wants to say something.
Yeah, Arav, go ahead.
Okay, so like they were saying, 15 missions. We can't do all of them because we only have 2.5 minutes, and the robot can't move too fast. Because if you make the movement speed way too fast, then the robot's gonna crash, and then it won't do the missions accurately.
So to add on to what one of the RoboCrafters said, I think it was Krishma. She told you that there were two RoboCrafters at each end of the table because we used to solve one half of the mission on this side and one half of the missions on this side. So we alternated it. Yeah. So one time I was doing the scoring. And another time, two of them were on one side, another two of them on one side. Then we used to rotate, and then another person was doing each job. So we used to get really, really used to each job and how it was, done. And at the competition, we did what was best for us. So I was the scorer, and in case the judges made a mistake, I used to show them the proof and what they did. Yeah, so that's basically what we did. We used to alternate.
You were saying something.
And adding on to Arnav, we usually had 4-hour classes, but when we had to try many times, we would maybe go up to 12 hours, 16 hours, I don't know.
And do you want to mention how many pizzas you ate?
Oh yeah, we ate a sleepover, Dino? Oh yeah, we also had a sleepover.
So guys, I hope it is evident, right, that they become so close to each other, right? Girls, boys, long and short, those things don't matter here, right? They have come across as a team, and that was the best byproduct of all of this one. So Abhishek, just suggesting here, since we have spoken about robot design a lot, right? And another important aspect of the FLL program is the innovation, right?
Yes.
So maybe we can switch to innovation and then cover those aspects too.
Sure. No, here we'll take a logical break.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you like to check with our team RoboCrafters? Would you like to show your demo first, or would you like to talk about your innovations project that you designed? Can we do demo first?
Let's do this. Let's do the intro, and then we do the demo.
So following your advice, because this is your day, right? We will continue talking, we'll sharing your experiences. Now would like to know, Coach Bhavin was telling and Coach Bankim was telling, that there are different programs. One is theme, that the mission is given to you, and then there is the innovation part of the program. So would you like to share your experiences, what innovations you did it, how did you come to those ideas, and what was your project as an innovation project? Would you like to share?
Yeah. So our theme this year was any renewable energy. So we had a few options such as sun, oil, water, and we chose water, hydroelectricity, because we thought it was the most important and efficient renewable energy, because water is an unlimited source. It can be used anywhere and everywhere, and it could be cleaned, and you can do a lot of stuff with water. And so we thought that it would be the most efficient to use hydroelectricity, and so based off of that, we made our model that we would like to show you about now.
Our idea is basically.
So can you, before you jump into the idea, can you explain how did you go about selecting what project you want to do? Karishma?
Yeah. So first, we all came up with ideas like generating energy while walking, generating energy on an escalator, and we decided that me and Ruhi came up with a similar idea about getting water in a house through a pipe and most efficiently doing that. So we each told our idea, and the one that got the most votes was me and Ruhi's. And so based off of that, we kept on researching and until we had an idea, and that's where we created our model.
So it was innovation project. Just a quick interruption. My apologies, but so the robot design that the kids talked about, it's a structured part of the program. The problems are defined, the missions are defined. The kids have to bring their creativity in designing the robot and programming the robot. But the outcomes are structured. It's known. The innovation project is an open field project. So what they get to know is a theme. And the thing, as Karishma mentioned this year, was it's called superpowered, but it was all about better ways to generate renewable energy. And that encourages a lot of research and a lot of open out of the box thinking amongst the kids. And that's what they said, and that everybody here, I tell you, we picked one idea, but everybody here came up with amazing creative ideas, as Karishma was saying, generate electricity while walking with the pressure on the tiles. If the tiles compress, that can generate electricity. Some amazing ideas came in. But there was a proper voting process that the kids went through, and they all selected one idea to work on. So it not only encourages out of the box thinking, but also this program encourages collaborative approaches to coming together, picking up how we want, which one we want to go after, and then all coming together in working towards this.
So just one quick liner here is the robot score is important, yes. But just the top 3 teams who went to the national championship did not have the top 3 scores, right? They were probably not even maybe in the top 10, right? So that is just one aspect of it. All the other factors, innovation, teamwork, all of these, right, have significant weightages, right? So first year what we did is we focused, and that's how we learn, right? We focus on the robot, we don't focus on the robot design and solving the missions, right? But we left very little time for the innovation model, right? And then we had to scamper in the last few weeks, right? Learning from that, we changed our strategy this year, giving equal importance to all of those things.
So nice. Yes, well, you were saying something.
So now that we've been saying our idea, so our idea is basically when water flows through this water turbine, the force of it, it has a strong high force. And that creates a lot of pressure, which creates a lot of energy, which can light up lights and bulbs. And the water falls when you shower, like when you wash your hands or things like that.
Yes, sir.
Adding on, we also wanted to do something that we could make a working model about, and we would all understand it and be able to explain it.
That's a perfect segue. Do you guys want to show the model?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. You want to make it? So, can you explain it in the same way that you have done before? Good.
So yeah, here is the model. Team RoboCrafter is showing, going to give you a live demo how they are able to produce electricity using the household water. So
Go ahead.
here, you
So,
go ahead, please.
Down here is the tank, and we have a pump in here that's simulating the water supply, and so it pumps water through pipes, and they go through this water turbine, and the water turbine spins, and when it spins, the generator generates electricity. The generator is a magnet wrapped around with copper coils, and then and when we switch on the faucet, these lights light up, spelling R3H12. Let's test it out.
So, Aneri, why don't you explain what's happening here and how excited about are you here to see the lights?
So inside there's like a pump.
Can you get into the camera?
Inside there's a pump that's pumping water up the pipes, which makes the water go through the coconut, which turns on the lights. It's actually very exciting because sometimes it doesn't work, but this time it has worked.
Adding on over here, these are the cables that are connected to the water turbine, and we have a restrictor and a bunch of jumper cables because we have lights all around and they all need to be powered, and this is actually generating a little too much electricity. Thus, we have a restrictor,
Like,
resistor.
so you may be wondering why we have a tank down here. This tank won't be we won't be placing a huge tank in your house with the water supply. This is just for the water. We can have this and recycle it constantly and keep going because we have no water source here on our model which we can bring to our competitions and everything.
What is this 3H2O?
R3H2O. That's the name of our innovation idea and model. We named it R3H2O because it regenerates with renewable resource water.
Oh, nice.
And where did you get that inspiration from?
R2D2.
Yeah.
What is R2D2?
The droid from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so nice. Anything would you like to share? Any other thing on this robo?
Ajay, do you want to add anything? How we developed this project and how we, this did not look like it is looking right now.
Okay, so, we have here a cardboard box.
Yes.
And this box, we taped it and we put some of this on it, and then we had a breadboard, and we created this. It's simulating a house. And these are the lights that power the house. So yeah, and this is like a sink.
Can you explain the benefits?
Yeah.
So the benefits is that we're not using any oils or we're helping from global warming. So it's helping our environment really well because global warming is caused by oils and fossil fuels. And we're not using any fossil fuels or any types of oils. We are using by electricity. Yes, there could be some problem between electricity and water, but this is the most efficient way if we're helping our environment.
Arav, you want to add something?
Yeah, okay, to add on, so first in the qualifiers, we just had this cardboard box on top of the on top of this
Tank.
on top of the tank, yeah. But then after reading our results from the qualifiers, because the judges gave us feedback and results, so that was really helpful. And then we added this sink to help represent it more.
You are saying something.
I was just saying. I was gonna say this.
So you guys want to talk about whom did we show this model to? What kind of industry experts did we speak to? Right? So, okay.
So the companies we showed this model to were PSEG, one of the nuclear power plants we went to. It's in Salem, New Jersey. We went there around October, November, around that time period. We also got feedback from Google, SpaceX, and Prudential.
So that is one of the key features of this program, right? They encourage you to talk to industry experts, right? Where, they went on a WebEx, they went on a Zoom, right? And they showed what the model is. For an hour, these experts taking time out of their busy schedules were explaining to these kids, and they were super excited as these kids were, right? So, apart from all these learnings, the exposure to people working in, such high-tech companies was absolutely fantastic.
And also, sorry, okay. We also, I forgot it.
Alright, that's okay. Ruhi, you want to add?
It was also really exciting to talk to the industry experts because they gave us an idea to write R3H2O, and without them, we would just have like a block of light. And
Okay.
Yeah,
So one thing, I have a quick question. Why did you have this for the square?
Those are windows.
It's used to like model a house.
It's like to model a house.
yeah, and also
Oh, nice.
Windows.
So all the industry experts that the kids presented. So trust me, whether it was the robot or the program or the innovation model, I think the whole journey has been full of iterations, just like we have in software development. Like, this was like, full of iterations, and like, every industry expert that the kids spoke to were so impressed. Like, that like kids at this age are thinking about the environment and the positive impact that could happen to the environment. And we got a lot of feedback from them. And like, so I think they have incorporated a lot in this. But like, can anyone, if you talk about...
I think he wants to add something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot to stop earlier. What I forgot to mention was we actually took a survey, or we gave a survey out, and many people, almost 1,000 responses. Yeah, 100?
103.
103. Sorry, my bad. 103 people responded, and yeah, they just want to share how they think of this product.
So how much of like electricity that gets consumed in the house?
On the survey, we asked questions like, would you rent or buy a water turbine? Like, how much money do you spend on water consumption and like your electrical bills? And also recently, like in January, we visited this hydroelectric power plant dam, which we learned how the big dams and how we they basically kind of revised their idea and put it on small scale houses.
Yeah,
You're saying something, Bhavin.
So, so the kids also did some, it was a very rudimentary calculation, but along with some advice from experts, they did some calculations on how much electricity could potentially be, saved by just using the water that we use at everyday's house. So can somebody explain like rough calculations, how much electricity can be saved at each household?
Yeah. What was the percentage, Reshma? Approximately, let's say you're spending $100, right? Water is a natural resource, so that comes free, right? Approximately, your 10, 15% or 20% you think can be saved using this idea?
Yes, because usually if we're not using this model or this type of way of generating electricity, usually we have to pay a lot more than we do now, because 10 to 15% gets reduced. So now we have to pay much less to generate electricity.
And eventually these savings will build up, and then eventually you can pay out all of your bills with just our small scale innovation idea.
This seems interesting to me. If anyone of our audience would like to buy this thing, are you thinking like that?
We have three different models, options, which is the bronze, silver, and gold. Would anyone like to add on to that?
Yeah. So the bronze is like a very easy DIY thing. Like you could just screw the water turbine onto your faucet. The silver is more expensive and requires a plumber, because you screw the turbine directly into the pipes. And the gold is the most expensive. With the gold, you also make potential drop, so that the
increases the amount of energy and flow which the water comes at. Obviously the DIY is an installation thing, but you could always try it out and see if you want to expand and get.
So these guys also presented this idea to the town council. Yeah. So we get, the mayor and everybody was super supportive of the idea. And they have been asked, if they want to interact with the town plumber and kind of do an installation. So again, to Livingston Town Council, really appreciate that exposure too.
Right. So what is your recommendations to our audience? Should we go for bronze? Should we go for silver? Should we go for gold?
Honestly, it depends on the person and what they think about our idea. For starters, if they want to try our idea, they should go for bronze, because they're going to get an idea of what our model is. If people kind of already have an idea and really want to jump to something more, then they should go for silver. If they really want to have this for a while and kind of test it out to see how well it works. If they just want to go for it, they should go for gold, because they just want the best for them. So.
If you live in a house with like 1 or 2 people, like someone who's a little older, like a senior, or you're just moving in here for like college or something, I would test out the bronze, because it's just you. If you live in like a 4 to 5 person house, silver would be a little better. And then if you live in like a mansion or an expensive area, gold would be crucial since there's a lot of pipes, a lot of bathrooms, a lot of showers.
Adding on, the bronze is more temporary than the others.
So also it depends on what people need and what their electricity bill is. We also asked this question on the survey. It was how much people were willing to pay to get this product.
So I think the theme was like, that the kids came up with was like, just like what has the solar renewable energy has evolved. Initially it started with like solar panels only on large farms at a macro scale. But then now slowly the solar panels have come and optimized to every house. So there is a lot of like, every house is generating electricity from solar. The kids came up with this idea to apply the same principle for hydroelectric. Today hydroelectric is only available at large installations like dams or waterfalls. It has not really been applied at a micro scale at every household. And their idea was to bring it to every household, and even whatever little electricity that gets regenerated is that much of a positive impact to the environment. And if every household, every faucet start generating electricity that we use on a daily basis, it just builds up and scales. So of course a lot of engineering needs to go behind this to make it large scale, but this is really the idea that the kids came up with, so full credit to them. And this is what we as coaches want to share, that participating in programs like this, you get the opportunity to really bring out your creativity and really get that Shark Tank type of experience where you come up with the idea, you prepare all the background about that idea, pitch the idea to a panel which are made up of industry experts. You get that experience at this age, it's fantastic. So that's what we would encourage our viewers and kids who want to participate in this program more, that this is the kind of opportunity, of course, that the kids will get, and this will lead to a brighter future.
I think she wants to add something.
Also, we didn't, for example, we sell this product to a bunch of people. We don't care about how much money we earn. We really care about the impact it makes on their house, and if it really helps them and their energy to make it more renewable. We don't care how popular we become just because of this product and how much money we earn. We care about the impact it makes on others' lives.
Because
You
so
got it.
when we went to the PSEG nuclear power plant, we learned about renewable energy a lot more, and so that gave us an idea of what kind of renewable energy is popular, how do we sell it, and who do we sell it to.
Adding on to what Ruby said, if we think about real life right now, it's March. It's supposed to be spring, but it's snowing. Just like the small things like that just show how our world is changing so quick because of global warming. So that the impact that we want for the world would really help every single person on this earth.
Thank you, Team RoboCrafters. I'm supercharger, so I can speak hours and hours listening to your stories. But as always, every good thing has some time limitations. So before we wrap up, I would like to know how come you come to this name, Team RoboCrafter. If you like to share some stories, why did you select this name only?
Based on what Arnold told me, we all like to play Minecraft.
So we created this name 2 years ago, and at that time that was during quarantine, and Minecraft was a really popular way between us to socialize, and so that's where we got the crafters from. And Robo was because
It's robotics.
robotics, I guess.
Who is the strict? Coach Bankim was strict with you, or Coach Bhavin was strict with you?
Yeah, I mean, jokes apart, right? This was tremendous fun, right? And again, in terms of logistics, we have Livingston Robotics Club. So, for example, you want to form a team, you don't have enough kids, right? We can share how you can form a team, right? You could have kids of different ages. You could have fifth graders, you could have sixth graders. There's a junior program too for the third and the fourth graders, right? So there is levels even for the middle schoolers, high schoolers. There's a program. Again, reach out to us for any more information, right? And hope these kids were able to inspire a few more kids and push the legacy forward.
Thank you, thank you. Before we wrap up, any questions, Mike, would you see on our from the live audience that they are looking for, or otherwise we will respond? Coach Bhavin, Coach Bankim is a part of our Livingston Education group. They will share those informations, and feel free to reach out to Team RoboCrafters, Team Bankim, Team Coach Bhavin, Coach Bankim, myself or Mike. We are happy to answer these questions. We are happy to help you in terms of building a new robot team, or they can share their experiences so that more kids can participate in innovations project. Thank you everyone. Before we wrap up, finally, any kids would like to share anything else?
Okay.
That's a surprise even for us, yeah?
Okay. So, one thing we forgot to mention was core values. The FLL has many core values. And also, what about teamwork? Teamwork. Without teamwork, we would not get to where we are. I mean, look at this. We had to build an innovative model and a robot from scratch. And we had absolutely no idea how we were going to do this, but because of teamwork, we got this together and pulled it off.
To add on.
I would like to explain to you the 6 core values of FLL. The 6 core values of FLL are discovery, teamwork, inclusion, impact, innovation, and last but not least, fun. For discovery, discovery is all about exploring and researching new solutions and designs. Teamwork is including everybody and collaborating for success. Impact is the difference our product makes to our society. Innovation is coming up with something new that can change our world. Inclusion is including everybody and hearing everyone's ideas and opinions during our team meetings. And fun is enjoying the experiences we have, the friendships we are making, and what we are doing right now.
You guys want to do the gritty?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and so when we had a lot of fun in robotics, and when our robot was successful, we would do the gritty.
Let's do the gritty. Come on, guys.
Let's show them. This is the gritty.
And what's this?
Dirty.
Run of the way,
You can see how much fun they are having. So it's not only about the work, but they are developing a very good friendship with each other. They are enjoying pizzas together. They are enjoying sleepovers together. They are playing basketball after the project. So robotics is not about coding and programming. It's about enjoying the moment, enjoying togetherness. Thank you, Team RoboCrafters. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye, Livingston.
Bye, Livingston.